questo appunto invito qua Jelena Kulušić. Siamo in Croazia e l'associazione 4 GRADA DRAGODID. Sì. 4, come dici? 4 Draga? No.
4 GRADA DRAGODID.
Voilà. È il punto di riferimento per la Croazia e non solo per la Croazia in Europa, e di conseguenza faremo tesoro del racconto di Jelena. Thank you so much.
Buongiorno a tutti. I will continue in English now, as I feel more better in the language. But afterwards, at any time during the dinner or something, if you capture something what is interesting to you and you want to ask me some questions, we can try to discuss in Italian even. So, as Donatella said, I'm a member of Dragodid Association in Croatia, and I will start with a brief introduction to our Croatian dry stone wall heritage, just to know the few basic facts, and afterwards I'll continue with the work of our organization. And in the last 5 years, or more or less, it coincidence with the UNESCO inscription. There is that thing that my friends like to joke, make Suhozid great again. So the first lesson of Croatian for all of you today is that word of Suhozid, which means Muria Secco in Croatian. So at the first slide, you see this sketch of Croatian landscape. So as you all know, as all of our countries, the Croatia is also represented with all of the most recognized phenomenon like terraces, the boundary walls, the corbelled stone shelters. We have a lot of local varieties of all of them, and also the presence of them and the diversity and the density is somehow extraordinary, even for us who are constantly discovering the new things. One cute example might be the Srima Peninsula that you see down. It's an example of a landscape pattern of which are defined by stone clearance piles, actually, this is just like brief introduction because we're limited with time, but as I said earlier, we'll discuss much later, and I'll show you how to get more information about Croatian. So this is also a pretty amazing and eye-capturing moment. So everyone fell in love in our island of Baljenac. They call it now the Fingerprint Island. But actually, there is a really sad story behind all of this. So most of our dry stone walls, the biggest revolution of them was in the 19th century, when all of your vineyards were destroyed by vineyard diseases, but it still wasn't come to Croatia, so our wine was 5 times more expensive. So people, you also have to know that up until the half of the 20th century, people were dying of hunger in the south of Croatia. So you can imagine how hard work was for them in the middle of the 19th century to build, to do something like this. They said but we can also imagine that it's a true. There is no stone on this island that is still on its original position. So unfortunately, why I said this is a monument to really a sad monument to Croatian peasant back then, because of course in later years the disease came and destroyed all of those vineyards which were planted. When we speak about about the vineyards and that part of agriculture. I will show you later the shepherds' infrastructure. I always like to note, and especially now when the terraces are the bond among everyone here in Lerici. Here are some examples of our, just a few of them, of our terraced landscapes. For example, the one you see here, this is actually a photo from National Geographic in 1962. And 10 years after, the Takala vineyards became the first protected landscape in Yugoslavia back then. But the story about it, it's also really nice. I will continue later because we have some workshops done over there. But after the Second World War, because of everywhere, the dry stones started to lose their economical role. So, and in the regime which we had, the people were pushed to work in the factories, to move to the cities, and their land was taken from them. So the picture from Korčula Island and the succession of the vegetation happened also in all of these hills. On Hvar Island as well, but this photo is taken after a large forest fire, because no one of the people who are alive now knew that this looked like this. They knew that it's just a woods over there. Then again, I mentioned the shepherds' infrastructure. These are the examples from the islands of Krk in Northern Adriatic, Kornati, and Pag, where you have a long boundary walls which are connecting one side of the island with another one. There is also tradition of having the common pastures, and also where at the crossing of those walls you always have ponds, because you know the water really meant a lot in these karstic areas. As I mentioned before, these are just few of the images how the water was preserved in karst. This in the middle is an example from Korčula, and actually our member of Alen with volunteers rebuilt the first cleared and then rebuilt one of the ponds. Now the ponds are super attractive, and we should make some hashtags about it, because there is also a big project called Still Water Revival, and also the Dinara Back to Life in our Park of the Nature of Dinara Mountain. It's a collaboration with the biologists, and it will last for a few years, where we plan to rebuild and put into function more than 20 of the wells and ponds in that area. That's not just Croatian trend, and it is funded just because it is not Croatian trend. So on the world scale, it's really the importance of those of the biodiversity and the water is on. These are the Roman wells of Rajčice. There is example of one of them above. So, and of course, this is how it looks on the islands that I mentioned, the common ponds. Then again, we come to the really also cute part of the shelters with the corbelled domes. That's also a thing which we, a lingua franca among all of us. There are plenty of local variations and also the names. Sometimes it's the matter of the quality of the stone you have. For example, You probably noticed the one down at the bottom. They resemble the trulli from Puglia region because the stone is really similar to them. It's in Istria. They're called cajuni, and it's not only the dry stone shelters. The special thing are the lime kilns. The problem with them was if you built one, you built it in order to get the lime. So you need to burn it, and after that, that monumental structure collapses and there is nothing left. But luckily there are some still preserved, and we had workshops with there are very few mentors who can still do it, who still remember how to make it and are willing to share their knowledge. This is nothing to explain for you, but maybe I noticed in the few of my last workshops out of the Croatia that the single stacked wall was really an interesting thing. We call it unjulo. It means like in zero, because it's a different double side wall. It's something like a lace out of the dry stone. And now I will show you where are they used. These structures, these mrgari, sheep halls, are common in the northern Adriatic. The examples are from Krk Island. And as I mentioned before, the common pastures on the islands. So this is how the shepherds how the shepherds make everything function good with not losing too much time. So the sheep from the whole island, or from one part of the island, from one village, are coming in that common area. So every petal, because we call it a flower, every petal that you see, every part is ownership of a different shepherd. So by making these walls, you make it also easy to reassemble after, because one year you will have 20 sheep, the next year you'll maybe have 50 of them, so it's easy to reassemble them. It's really hard for us who are taught to build dry stone walls, but once you go in it, it's an amazing dry stone Tetris. Then we're coming back to the retaining wall example and Takala vineyard terraces. The thing why it was so important back in the years, and why it was really like also super hard work, because not only the Takala area was in those dry stone wall terraces, because all of the other hills nearby, now it's almost invisible. Those you can see just few traces of it, just because that was abandoned, and it's not sustainable in our modern world, because no mechanizations can come in. You guessed how they were built. And the interesting thing is that the women were carrying the soil from a valley behind on their back and putting it in those little pockets of between the two walls. The good thing about those initiatives from below, from community, are visible on this example, because in the year 2002, agricultural cooperative of a nearby village, who are the owners of that, started to rebuild those vineyards. So 8 terraces were rebuilt back then. In year 2012, they asked us if we're interested to come for a workshop with them, and ever since we're there once annually, usually in the spring, but this year we will go for the second time as well. They also have an association of the cultural landscape of Takala. And now we come, now we come to the super quick intro to the Dragodid Association. Everything started in the year 2002, and up till 2007 it was an organization founded after EASA meeting of the students from all over the Europe, who Croatia was the host that year. So I would say this was Dragodid version 1, because everything else, or now Dragodid, which you all know about, began with 2010, when there was the first student international workshop on Učka Mountainhead. It was organized and led by our association, and soon, in few years, what started as a small group of students which are inspired by joy of the dry stone walling and hanging around outdoors with the great people. It became the most active the dry stone association in Croatia, and had the main advocacy role in all of the things linked with not only with the UNESCO inscription, but in 2017 we managed to protect it after 3 years of preventive protection in the Ministry of Culture as important intangible cultural asset of national importance. Before of that, during that 3-year period, we did the field work all over the Dalmatian, all over the coast, where we went into the villages in order to get the data about the bearers of the knowledge, the old mentors, the craftsmen, people who use this technique in their everyday life. This will be super short because we stopped making these collages in the year of 2017, because annually from there on we have more than 30 workshops all over the Croatia, but also thanks to the good networking with similar associations in Europe, we're also present everywhere. Some of the greatest thing we did a part of, beside of this, was that in the year 2017 it was launched Suhozid HR, Suhozid AKR, the Muria Secca AKR. It was launched in the spring of 2013 as a public GIS site, open public inventory of Croatian dry stone heritage, in order to deepen the knowledge and on dry stone buildings and the distribution of all of the goods. You see on the right side the application we did, because when I said open, it means that every one of you can walk around, and when you see something interesting, you take a photo. The application has the coordinates. You decide whether is it a complex or wall or single structure or path, waterway, building, something. Down below you see the first book. That it is not a book, it's like a brochure, but in like 50 pages. It went in three editions, like 15,000 examples, which were all sold right away. We published it with, because we have no money, we published it with our daily news, Slobodna Dalmacija, and in that way it was available to everyone. It's not just on academical, we will go somewhere and we will speak about the dry stone walls. No, everyone can get an idea, and the things, how to start, what is it, what is good to use, and where to find some help or some literature about the topic they're interested in. Of course, in the year 2000, Yes, of course. 1 minute for 17th International Congress on Dry Stone Walling in Konavle, the southernmost region county in Croatia. These are the photos about photos of a restored pond in a village. It lasted for three days, and after that we went to the Congress. So, a part of that, we also have the national championships in dry stone walling. The first was held in the year 2011. It was not. It was organized in 2011 by enthusiasts and locals from the island of Pag. And that was good because of the raising the awareness of dry stones as important heritage, and it's also good because it brought all of the people of different backgrounds together. These are the photos of the latest one. Just two things. The dry stone walling scene of Croatia, La Mia Casita in the city of Vodnjan or Dinjano. It is the most constant dry stone event in Croatia from the year 2006. There is now also the whole Kažun theme park because they restored more than 100 of those Kažuni dry stone shelters. Branko Orbanic is an architect and a local enthusiast who brought this thing together. This is the final slide, I'm sorry. This is unfortunately in the year of 2007, we had really tragic event where 12 young firemen lost their life on Kornati Island in a forest fire. A few years after, architect Nikola Basic did something great. It is so subtle and it is amazing, and it looks really as it should look, the monument to that. It was made in 15 days by 2,500 volunteers from all over Croatia. They were led by those old craftsmen and enthusiasts and the shepherds that I mentioned earlier from the island of Pag. These crosses are huge. It's like 25 times 15 meter, and I'm sorry, I will finish my slide with this. Grazie mille per tutto. This is from my village.
Un grande grazie a Jelena. È un dispiacere far fretta delle persone perché saremo ora, ci sono delle immagini meravigliose che vabbè, alcune le abbiamo viste perché anche quella dell'isola è una foto che ritorna, però nonostante questo è sempre meravigliosa. E emerge di qua, che forse prima non è stato detto in modo esplicito, la dimensione dell'acqua e tutte le forme rotonde dell'acqua, gli stagni, i laghi, anche queste vanno in una direzione molto molto preziosa che l'architettura in pietra secco contribuisce a mantenere, quella della gestione dell'acqua, la troppa acqua, la poca acqua. Anche in alcune immagini che Ada questa mattina ha fatto vedere, le canalizzazioni, le volte che producono acqua, e sono di nuovo delle opere di ingegno di alta capacità. Quindi grazie.